Hello guys and girls, my name is Purple Hatman and welcome to a video I am very excited about. As you can see from the title, we are finally talking about how strong are the Hulks of Marvel. So to be clear, I'll only be talking about Hulks from the main 616 universe in the comics, and I'll only be talking about them if they're considered to be members of the Hulk family. In no particular order, the Hulks I'll be talking about are the Hulk, the Red Hulk, She-Hulk, Red She-Hulk, Skaar, A-Bomb, Lyra, and Doc Samson. Please leave me a like if you enjoy this video, please leave me a comment if you have anything to say, but especially if you want to suggest anything you want me to cover with Marvel in the future. I am absolutely open to suggestions, and subscribe if you want to see the videos I make in the future. But with that said, let's get started. So we'll begin at the beginning with the original Hulk, Bruce Banner's Hulk. Also, really quick, I'm not going to be talking about a lot of the strongest moments the Hulks had through the comics in this, just because I have covered most of those in another video, Why the Hulk is Beyond Omega Level. So if you want to see some of his strongest moments that I like, then please feel free to go watch that video. It's in the top corner and also probably in the description as well if you want to go watch that. The Hulk has a starting strength of 100 tons. This is the same for all of his personalities and forms except for the Grey Hulk and I believe the Professor Hulk, who both have a starting strength of 75 tons. Although I'm not very familiar with the Professor Hulk persona, so don't take my word for that. And there's probably more reliable sources out there. I'm not going to talk any more about him. Despite this lower starting strength of the Grey Hulk, he does share the same strength mutation as all other versions of this Hulk, so he quickly surpasses this 75-ton limit. Speaking of which, we all know what the Hulk's strength mutation is. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets. His level of physical strength is directly linked to his level of emotional anger, meaning that his strength is truly unlimited. Add this to the fact that the Hulk's strength mutation has basically no weakness or downside, means that anybody fighting him quickly settles into a horrible realization. The more you fight him, the more angry about fighting you he becomes, and therefore the more capable of beating you he becomes. The final nail in the coffin when it comes to how powerful the Hulk really can be is the fact that it is shown on a ridiculously regular basis that if he wanted to, he could kill every other superpowered being on Earth. Bruce Banner's Hulk is the most powerful Hulk in this video, and he's also the strongest one there is, period. Next we'll talk about She-Hulk, because although I have talked about her strength in previous videos, things you need to know about She-Hulk and a How Strong is She-Hulk shorts that I did have some corrections and other things I wanted to mention about her. And for those videos, so that's what this little section is going to be. She-Hulk has a starting strength of 75 tons, not 70 tons like I said in my previous videos. I don't know why I rounded it down, but I did. And her strength mutation is that if she exercises in human form to increase her physical strength, she'll experience an equal and proportionate and permanent increase to her strength in She-Hulk form. To give you a rough idea, let's say she's able to lift another 10 kilograms comfortably in her human form, she should be able to lift another 10 tons in her She-Hulk form. With that in mind, She-Hulk's current strength level should be much higher than it actually appears to be, and the only reasoning I can find behind this is that more than any other Hulk I would say, she's experienced a lot of trouble with controlling her transformations. She's gone through massive periods where she's been either stuck as She-Hulk, unable to change to human form, or stuck in human form, unable to change into She-Hulk, or unable to control her transformations in any way. And it seems that every time she has one of these out of control episodes and then regains control of her transformations, it seems to reset her strength level back down to this 75-ton base level. It is worth mentioning that recently in her time as an Avenger, she's taken on kind of a monstrous She-Hulk appearance, and in this form she's a lot more physically powerful, like way more than she ever has been before. But it's unclear if this change is due to increased gamma levels, a power boost from the Celestials, or an internal mental struggle that Jennifer Walters has been having, or a combination of all three. Currently I would say that She-Hulk's strength is over the 100-ton limit, but not by much. So even though she is sensational, in terms of raw power when it comes to the Hulks, she kind of ranks somewhere in the middle. With the two most popular and well-known Hulks out of the way, we're now going to get on to the more interesting ones, starting with the Red Hulk. So the Red Hulk is classified as having class 100 strength, which means 100 tons, but that's only because that's as high as the scale goes. Once you hit class 100, they just stop measuring it. The Red Hulk's actual starting strength is probably in the thousands of tons. He has by far the highest starting strength of any Hulk, and I'll give you some examples in just a minute. In addition to his already amazing starting strength, the Red Hulk also has an incredible strength mutation. The Red Hulk is able to absorb energy and radiation from almost any source, and this leads to a direct increase to his physical strength, with no upper limit. As long as the Red Hulk can keep absorbing an energy form, he can keep getting stronger. With the explanation for his strength out of the way, I now want to give you some examples of it. So in this comic, he had recently been drained of all of his power, all of his cosmic and gamma radiation, meaning he was stuck in his human form of Thunderbolt Ross, and he was unable to transform back into the Red Hulk. He is then attacked by a Cosmic Hulk, a robot created by Galactus which is fueled by the power cosmic. Thunderbolt Ross is able to drain the power cosmic from this robot Hulk so that it can turn back into the Red Hulk. He then continues to drain it until he's so powerful he's able to rip this robot clean in half, which is an extremely impressive feat. The second is the time that the original Hulk, in a form known as Doc Green, a Hulk that was so intelligent he was almost more intelligent than Bruce Banner himself, once said that if he couldn't shut down the Red Hulk's ability to absorb radiation and get stronger, he would actually be unstoppable. This is an example of the Hulk admitting that not only could the Red Hulk beat him in a fight, but it was a very real possibility. During a fight with the original Hulk, he drained gamma radiation from his body for just a few seconds, but his next hit was so powerful it caused what is basically a nuclear explosion of pure force, which is insane. Another example I have to mention is the time his ability to absorb energy and gain strength was disabled, yet he was still able to fight an extremely powerful version of the original Hulk for hours on end and eventually even knock him unconscious. After everything I've said, you're probably thinking the Red Hulk is overpowered, which he definitely is, but he does have something which I haven't had to talk about yet, which is a glaring weakness. In the same way that the original Hulk's level of anger is linked to his physical strength, the Red Hulk's anger is linked to his body temperature. This means that if the Red Hulk gets too angry, his body literally overheats, causing extreme physical exhaustion. He has learned to have great control over his anger, so this weakness actually doesn't come up a lot, but it still is a glaring flaw in an otherwise almost supremely powerful character. Even with that said, the Red Hulk is exceptionally powerful. I cannot overstate how strong he is, and he firmly has a place as the second most powerful Hulk in Marvel. Sticking with the Hulks I find most interesting, we're next going to talk about Red She-Hulk. So Red She-Hulk has a starting strength of 75 tons, which is the same as the original She-Hulk, but she does have a strength mutation. And I have to say that before I started making this video, I was 100% sure that I knew what her strength mutation was, but just to be thorough, I decided to do research on it, and it was the most confusing thing in the world. MarvelFandom.com actually has her strength mutation listed as the exact same as Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk, which I have never seen any evidence to support whatsoever, so I don't know where they're getting this from. I also looked at, in my first issue of the Incredible Hulks comic that I have, there's a fact files thing on all the different Hulks, and it lists the original Hulk's strength mutation, it lists Jennifer Walters' strength mutation, and it lists others, but it doesn't even mention anything for the Red She-Hulk. Like, it doesn't talk about it at all, but it does say that it has not been measured yet. Her strength has not been measured, which I suppose is them casting some doubt and not being very particular. But I did eventually find the place where I got my understanding from, which is in a magazine called Marvel Fact Files. So the Red She-Hulk's strength mutation is that the angrier she gets, the stronger she gets, which is the same as the original Hulk's if it wasn't for one glaring weakness, which is that it also comes at the cost of her intelligence. She literally experiences a kind of dementia when it comes to her brain activity, when it comes to her anger level increasing. The more angry she becomes, the stronger she becomes, but also the less intelligent she becomes. Her brain literally starts shutting down, which means although she can approach crazy levels of strength and power, she will never get to the Hulk's level because eventually her brain will shut down to the point it won't be able to tell her lungs to breathe anymore, and she'll likely just fall on the floor and have some kind of seizure and then slip into a coma maybe. Now I feel like this needs a lot of explanation, so don't worry, I'm going to go into many examples of why I believe this is the case over the other misinformation I found. The first example I want to mention is a fight she had with the original Hulk. At this point in the story, the Hulk had actually had Bruce Banner removed from his body. They were now two completely separate beings, and it was believed that the Hulk had killed Bruce Banner in a recent conflict. Red She-Hulk seemed to be his physical equal during this fight, because she was driven by her anger over the loss of Bruce Banner. The next occasion is where she was fighting a criminal sex offender with super strength. At first he's able to easily overpower her, but then he offers to grape her without the G, and this sends her into a wild frenzy of anger. She's now all of a sudden strong enough to break his arm, the arm of someone who was just seconds ago easily physically restraining her, and even hit him with a punch so hard it breaks his neck in like a 360-degree motion. His face goes from being on the front of his body to the back, killing him instantly. And you'll also notice throughout all of this, after she has her outburst of anger, she doesn't talk. She has one guttural roar, probably because her brain is shut down from her level of anger, meaning she can't really make full sentences. And it's not until she calms down seconds later that she's able to realise she even killed a man. The final occasion is where the Red She-Hulk was actually being assaulted by an army of superpowered soldiers, and she was nearly being beaten to death. It's during this, just before she is completely overpowered and subdued, that she transforms into a monstrous She-Hulk form. Now in this form, she is exceptionally powerful, and now able to make short work of all of these people who were just moments ago completely overpowering her. This shows her level of strength has increased with her anger, but it also shows that her intelligence has decreased. In this form, she's only able to speak in grunts and roars, and she doesn't even really know what she's doing. She's just fighting for survival out of pure rage and strength. It's not until later on that she's able to see a reflection of herself in this form, and something triggers in her brain to get her to transform back. I think this absolutely proves that her strength mutation is the angrier she gets, the stronger she gets, but at the cost of her intelligence. The Red She-Hulk is absolutely capable of insane levels of strength and power, and for my money, she'd actually be the third most powerful Hulk, but she might be rivaled by the next Hulk we're going to talk about. That next Hulk is Skaar, who I've been excited to talk about since he made his debut into the MCU at the end of the She-Hulk TV series, so yeah, I really want to get into it. Skaar has a starting strength of 90 tons, which you'll notice is a bit lower than other male Hulks. He also hasn't displayed a gamma strength mutation. Both of these things are most likely due to the fact that genetically he is only half a Hulk, his father obviously being the Hulk and his mother being an alien woman from the planet Skaar named Lyra. But if you're thinking that either of these things make Skaar weaker in terms of the Hulks, you would be absolutely wrong. Because what Skaar does have is access to the old power, an ancient form of energy he inherited from his mother, which allows him to control the ground. So if you think of him like an earthbender from Avatar, then you're along the right lines. It's through the old power that Skaar has a devastating ability to absorb kinetic energy from the ground and use it as physical force. He's used this ability to devastating effect against people like the Juggernaut, Red She-Hulk, and even a Hulkerized version of Thor. But there is only one occasion I really need to tell you about that proves how powerful Skaar really can be. And it's the time that he used the old power to move the tectonic plates of the earth and then absorb the kinetic energy, and the amount of energy he was wielding as physical strength at this time was 100 trillion tons. I mean, 100 trillion tons. That is such a stupid number. I can't even imagine it. Do you know how much a trillion is? It's more than anyone can imagine. He then proceeds to hit the Hulk dead center in the stomach with that amount of force, sending him flying hundreds of miles over the United States. Unfortunately, Skaar's old power does come with a bit of a weakness, which is that he can't access it if he's not touching the ground. Lifting more than an inch off it, he can't access it. Bruce Banner actually created a force field which feeds off the old power, meaning that anyone using it against him was completely ineffective. The Intelligentsia also created a weapon which could easily disable Skaar's connection to the old power. But really, even if you disable Skaar's old power, he still has his gamma abilities to fall back on, which still makes him incredibly dangerous in almost any scenario. Ultimately, when Skaar uses his old power in conjunction with his gamma-related strength and his healing factor, it makes him an incredibly powerful opponent to go against. And when it comes to Skaar and the Red She-Hulk, I honestly wouldn't feel comfortable placing one of them definitely in the third or fourth spots. In my mind, they're just constantly tied for the position, although I have never seen Red She-Hulk wield 100 trillion tons of force, so I'd be inclined to go with Skaar, but I'm not going to make that a definite answer. Finally, I just think that Skaar is an incredibly powerful Hulk and an incredibly cool character overall, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do as part of the MCU. Now we're going to talk about A-Bomb, who honestly is one of my favourite Hulks. A-Bomb has a starting strength of 100 tons, and he also has not demonstrated a gamma strength mutation. This is probably due to the fact that he isn't actually a Hulk, he's an Abomination. His DNA for his transformation was derived directly from the original Abomination. I've never seen an official thing saying that Hulks are very different to Abominations, but honestly it makes a lot of sense because I've never seen the Abomination demonstrate a strength mutation either, which is why he always loses to the Hulk. I can imagine that that's got you thinking, if he can't get any stronger, and 100 tons is perfectly average for a Hulk, then what is the point of A-Bomb? And honestly that has three answers. The first is that like the cuttlefish or a chameleon, he can actually blend in with his surroundings, becoming completely invisible to the naked eye, meaning he's about the only Hulk that could sneak up behind you without you even noticing and deliver a 100-ton punch right to the back of the head. The second is his armor-plated skin, which has been described as almost indestructible, and I think allows him a greater amount of physical resistance to damage than even the other Hulks. And the third reason is not a legitimate one at all, and it's that I think he just looks badass. I mean, honestly, look at him. I think out of all the Hulks, he actually looks the coolest, and I honestly, seriously never get sick of looking at him. Actually, leave me a comment if you think he looks cool as well, or if you think he just looks like a stupid blue lizard. Overall, A-Bomb looks really badass. He has this camouflaging ability and this super tough armor, so I think he definitely has a place among the Hulks, and I think it's a pretty great one. Next up is Lyra. When it comes to Lyra's starting strength, I have seen one source say it's at 90 tons and I've seen other sources say it's at 100 tons. What I can tell you for certain is that it's higher than the other She-Hulks, and I personally believe it is at 100 tons. This higher starting strength is most likely due to the fact that both of her parents, the Hulk and Thunderer, both have a degree of superhuman strength in their own right, the Hulk obviously being at 100 tons and Thunderer being at 60 tons. Lyra has also never demonstrated a gamma strength mutation to increase her level of strength, but she does have a built-in weakness, which is that the angrier she gets, the weaker she gets. Her level of strength actually starts to decrease if she becomes angry. This weakness was actually built into her genetics so that she couldn't turn against her creators. Lyra's very existence as a Hulk is to answer 3 questions. What if a She-Hulk had the starting strength of a male Hulk? What if a Hulk had a weakness that meant they couldn't get angry? And what if a Hulk was one of the greatest fighters to have ever lived? The answer to all 3 of these questions is Lyra. Last but not least is Doc Samson. So Doc Samson has a starting strength of 75 tons, this is according to most of the information that I have seen. He also did used to have a gamma strength mutation, which is that his level of strength was directly linked to the length of his hair. The longer his hair was, the stronger he was. I'm saying all of this in the past tense because his strength mutation has since stabilised. It now no longer depends on the length of his hair whatsoever. His strength level is now consistently at the 75 ton range and doesn't waver. The only exception to this that I'm aware of is during a time in the comics known as Fall of the Hulks, Doc Samson developed an evil personality known simply as Samson. With this new evil personality came a new physical form. He was now much more physically muscular and much stronger, now having 100 tons as his strength level. But both this evil personality and this stronger form have not been seen since. Although Doc Samson is a Hulk in every sense of the word, the best way to think about him as a character is as a gamma-enhanced super soldier, with the agility and speed of someone like Captain America, but the strength and durability of a Hulk. With all of that said, despite his lack of strength, I really do like Doc Samson as a character, and for me, he will always have a place as one of the Hulks. And that is it for my conversation about the Hulks as individuals. But there is one more section to this video I wanted to make, because I feel like so far this video has painted a clear hierarchy among the Hulks, as in this one could beat this one, could beat this one, but that isn't really true at all. So I've gone ahead and designed 3 bar graphs which are designed to show how the Hulks relate to each other in 3 different circumstances. The first is maximum strength potential, which is pretty much what I've just described to you in this video. The Hulk, if he can keep getting angrier, is by far the most powerful. Closely in a second place is the Red Hulk. If he can keep absorbing energy from somewhere, he can keep getting stronger with no limit. Then you've got Skaar and Red She-Hulk, who are tied for the 3rd and 4th spots. Then you've got She-Hulk. If she keeps exercising and keeps gaining strength, her potential is very high. Then A-Bomb and Lyra, both on the same level as they can't gain strength in any way. And Doc Samson at the bottom. This graph is about starting strength. So if you remove the strength mutations of all of the Hulks and they were not able to access them, who would be the strongest? As you can see, Red Hulk is now the most powerful, having the highest starting strength of any of the Hulks. Then you've got A-Bomb, the Hulk and Lyra all on an even playing field, all stuck at 100 tons. Then you've got Skaar at 90, She-Hulk, Red She-Hulk and Doc Samson all stuck at 75. This last one is probably the most important, because the most important thing in a fight is not how strong you are, it's how well you can use it. So this is ranking them by fighting skill. In this aspect, Lyra is by far the most skilled. Growing up in a future where men and women are constantly at war, Lyra learns skill and discipline in the art of combat. Not only for survival, but for the passion of the fight. And if that wasn't enough, Lyra literally possesses a trump card. She's able to enter something called the Autotrance or Gamma Sight, which allows her to see all of the ambient gamma radiation in the world around her and flow like a wave or a ray. In this state, Lyra has complete control over her emotion, so her weakness of getting weaker the angrier she becomes is completely nullified. And she's also able to sense and react to the world around her in a way I can only describe as equal to Daredevil's radar sense and even Spider-Man's spider sense. When she fights in this state, Lyra is truly unstoppable, and I honestly cannot imagine anyone in the main 616 universe of any description actually being able to beat her. In second place, I've put the Red Hulk. As a military man, Thunderbolt Ross has decades of combat experience to draw from. Even more dangerous than that, the Red Hulk has been able to adapt to his Hulk form in a unique way, able to fight with skill and discipline in a way that benefits his size and strength. He's also shown the ability to stop fighting fair if he wants to, resorting to things like biting, low blows, and distraction just to win. He's also shown a greater ability to be agile while fighting, using things like grappling techniques and submission moves I'd usually only see in something like a UFC fight. All of these things make him an excellent fighter. In third place, I've put Skaar. Because he was born on a savage alien world, Skaar has had to learn to fight to survive from day one, and he is known as the killer of killers for good reason. Next, I've put She-Hulk. She-Hulk's big strength when it comes to fighting skill is her experience. She has been a part of the superhero community and part of so many superhero teams. She has fought alongside the very best of the superheroes and against the very worst of the villains, and she's learned a lot about fighting as a result. Just underneath her, I've put A-Bomb because he was trained by Captain America as Rick Jones, and he was trained in the art of being a Hulk by the Hulk, and he's demonstrated a great ability to mix that skill with his newfound strength. Next to him, I've put the Hulk, and he is by every definition a wild card. I've placed him that low down because the most common personality that we see out of the Hulk is the Savage Hulk, who as a child alter of his DID system is no more skilled at fighting than the average toddler throwing a tantrum. The Grey Hulk on the other hand does not have a high level of discipline or training, but he is very willing to fight dirty. Low blows, biting and eye gouging are all things that the Grey Hulk would not hesitate to use in order to win a fight. With the Hulk, you also have the extremes, and the extreme is Doc Green. This hyper-intelligent version of the Hulk actually learned martial arts from the Iron Fist Danny Rand. With this training, this Hulk was extremely skilled in combat and even outclassed the Red Hulk. Second to last, I've put Doc Samson because despite the fact that he does have a wealth of experience, having had superpowers for a very long time, overall he does not demonstrate the same skill that other people do. At the bottom of the list is Red She-Hulk. This doesn't mean that she's a bad fighter by any stretch of the imagination, but more than anybody else she has not displayed the same level of skill that others have, and she instead relies heavily on her strength to do all the fighting for her. And that really is it. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave me a like if you enjoyed, leave me a comment if you have anything to say, and subscribe if you want to see the other comic book videos which I will be doing in the future. This video took a lot of hard work for me to make. I've been working on it constantly over the last 4 weeks, and I actually started making it months ago, which is why at some places it might seem like it's kind of patched together, because it kind of is. I did enjoy making it though, and I hope you found it informative. And that's really all I have to say. I have been Purple Hat Man. You have been a great audience. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye-bye. We're back from the dead.